I killed my younger brother at his own backyard barbecue. Not with a gun or a knife, no. That would have been too merciful. Too quick for a man like Ethan who'd spent years twisting the knife in my back. Instead, I watched him choke on the truth, his face turning the color of overripe tomatoes as the hemlock-laced deviled eggs hit his system. His wife, my traitorous sister-in-law, clutching her swollen belly like it could shield her from the poison I'd planted right under their noses. It started 6 months earlier, in the sterile hum of a Chicago neurotech lab, where a freak accident swapped our bodies. Mine, Juliet Harlan, the disgraced attorney who'd taken the fall for his crimes, and his, the Golden Boy CEO who'd built his empire on my stolen life. But revenge? That's an art form when you're wearing your enemy's skin. And I painted it in broad, bloody strokes. The text came at 2:17 p.m. on a muggy July afternoon, right as I was wrapping up a deposition in my corner office overlooking the loop. Don't come to the barbecue tonight. Jules. Family's tense. Stay home. Ethan's words blinked up at me from my phone, casual as a weather update, but they landed like a gut punch. My younger brother, blood, bone, and betrayal, daring to uninvite me from the annual Harlan clan cookout, the one tradition Mom clung to like a lifeline since Dad's heart attack 5 years back. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the reply button, feeling that old familiar burn in my chest, the one that had been smoldering since law school when he'd first dipped his fingers into my future. I should have seen it coming. Ethan had always been the charmer, the one with the easy grin and the silver tongue that could talk his way out of a federal indictment. 6 years younger, but he'd lapped me in the family legacy race before we'd even hit 30. While I was grinding through night classes at DePaul, clerking for overworked judges in the Cook County courts, he was schmoozing venture capitalists at Northwestern, pitching his revolutionary app that promised to streamline corporate ethics reporting. Ethics. The word still makes me snort. It was my thesis idea, scribbled in the margins of a notebook he'd borrowed during one of his weekend visits to my shoebox apartment in Wicker Park. I'd laughed it off then, big sister helping little brother. Right? But by the time his startup, Ethicorp, went public 3 years later, valued at $200 million, my name was nowhere in the fine print. Just a vague, inspired by family in his TED Talk. And the fall? That was the real kicker. 2 years ago, the SEC came knocking. Insider trading, falsified audits, the works. Ethicorp's books were a house of cards, and the house was built on my back. I'd signed off on those reports, forged signatures. Sure. But I trusted him when he said it was just a temporary glitch. Jules, for the greater good. Greater good. For who? For the board that got golden parachutes while I got indicted? I took the plea deal. 5 years probation, disbarment, and a scarlet letter that turned every job interview into a minefield. Ethan? He walked away with a slap on the wrist, a cooperating witness badge, and a promotion to CEO. Mom called it karma balancing out. I called it bullshit. That text, though, it wasn't just exclusion. It was erasure. The barbecue was at their McMansion in Oak Park, the one he'd bought with my blood money, complete with a koi pond and a playset for the kid they were expecting. Sophie, his wife, had been texting me baby bump updates for months. Juliet, you'll be the best auntie. Heart emojis and ultrasound pics, like we were still the unbreakable trio from childhood summers at Lake Michigan. But now, family's tense. Translation: Sophie's water broke early last month. Complications from some genetic marker they wouldn't disclose. And suddenly I'm the black sheep they don't want bleeding around the grill. I tossed the phone on my desk, the clatter echoing off the glass walls of Harlan and Associates, my firm, scraped together from freelance gigs and favors from old mentors who pitted the fallen star. At 38, I was supposed to be arguing appeals in the Seventh Circuit, not chasing slip and falls for plumbers in Cicero. The office smelled like stale coffee and desperation, a far cry from the mahogany polish of my old gig at Kirkland and Ellis. I leaned back in my creaky desk chair, staring at the family photo on the wall. Me, Ethan, Mom. All grins at Ethan's college graduation. Photoshopped happiness. If only they knew the secrets buried under that smile. My assistant, Maria, poked her head in. Boss, you good? That depot ran long, clients pissed about the delay. She was 22, fresh out of Loyola, with eyes that saw too much and a mouth that said too little. I forced a nod. Tell him it's handled. And cancel my evening. Something came up. She didn't buy it, but she vanished anyway, leaving me with the hum of the AC and the itch under my skin that said, do something, Juliet. Don't just swallow it again. I didn't reply to the text. Instead, I grabbed my keys and headed out, the summer heat slapping me like a wet towel as I hit Michigan Avenue. Traffic was a snarl of Ubers and bike couriers, horns blaring in that uniquely Chicago symphony of fuck yous. I needed air, needed to walk off the rage before it turned me inside out. Past the Bean, tourists snapping selfies like it was the second coming, down to the lakefront where the wind off the water carried the faint rod of dead fish and freedom. I sat on a bench near the Adler Planetarium, watching joggers pound the path, and let my mind wander back to the what-ifs. What if I'd ratted him out from the start? What if I'd fought the plea? Dragged the whole rotten family's secret into the light? Mom's cancer remission, funded by his gifts. Sophie's trust fund wedding, bankrolled by my silence. The secret wasn't just the fraud. It was deeper, uglier. Dad hadn't died of a heart attack. He'd OD'd on fentanyl, cut with something lethal, right after confronting Ethan about skimming from the family trust, the one meant for Mom's medical bills and my law school loans. Ethan swore it was an accident, that Dad had relapsed from his old back pain scripts, but I'd found the texts on his phone months later. Handle it, bro. Or I will. Handle it. Like Dad was a business liability. I'd covered for him then, too, falsified the coroner's report timeline, whispered to the detectives about Dad's demons. Because that's what big sisters do, protect the baby of the family, even when he's a monster in khakis. By the time I got back to my Lincoln Park walk-up, the sun was dipping low, painting the skyline in bruised purple hues. My phone buzzed again, not Ethan, but Sophie. Hey, ignoring your brother? Come anyway. We miss you. Doors open at 6. A photo attached, the grill smoking, corn on the cob charring, our cousins laughing with solo cups in hand. It was bait, pure and simple. The prodigal sister, summoned for show. I typed back, wouldn't miss it. Lies. All of it. But lies were our family currency, and I was about to cash in big. That night, as I slipped into a sundress that hid the fresh tattoo on my ribs, vengeance is mine, I didn't know about the lab accident yet. Didn't know that a routine consult with a neurotech startup, ironically, one of Ethan's portfolio companies, would end with me strapped to a table, electrodes firing, and waking up in a body that wasn't mine. But fate, that cruel Chicago bitch, had plans. And they started with a text I never should have ignored. The drive to Oak Park was a blur of expressway lights and classic rock on the radio, Springsteen wailing about highways and ghosts. Ethan's place loomed at the end of a cul-de-sac, all Cape Cod charm with solar panels and a Tesla in the drive. The cars lined the street, Aunt Linda's minivan. Cousin Mark's lifted F-150. Laughter spilled from the backyard like smoke, mingled with the sizzle of burgers and the tang of charcoal. I parked, smoothed my dress, and stepped through the gate, the grass soft under my heels. Ethan spotted me first, flipping patties with tongs. His polo shirt stretched over a dad bod that screamed, successful but soft. "Jules? What the?" I said. "Don't come." His voice was low, edged with that fake concern he reserved for board meetings. Sophie waddled over from the patio table, 8 months pregnant and radiant in a maxi dress. But her eyes were sharp, scanning me like contraband. "Ethan, stop." Juliet's family. She hugged me stiffly, the bump pressing against my ribs like an accusation. The evening unfolded in awkward beats, small talk about the cub slump, Mom's latest quilt project, Sophie's cravings for jardiniera. I nursed a seltzer, watching Ethan hold court, stories of Ethicorp's latest acquisition, a game-changer in AI compliance. Compliance. The word twisted in my gut. No one mentioned my disbarment, my probation check-ins, the way I'd sold my condo to pay fines. I was the invisible scar, the one they airbrushed out of the holiday cards. As dusk fell, fireflies winking in the hedges, Sophie pulled me aside by the dessert table. "He's stressed, Jules. The baby. It's high risk. Some chromosomal thing." We didn't want drama. Chromosomal. The word hung there, and something clicked, a buried memory from law school biochem, about inherited markers, about how Dad's relapse might have been laced with more than just pills. But I pushed it down, smiled. No drama here. Just cake. It was past 10 when the crowd thinned, taillights fading down the street. Ethan clapped me on the back, too hard, too familiar. "Glad you came, sis. Means a lot." Lies. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, face tightening. "Gotta take this. Board stuff." He vanished into the house, leaving Sophie and me with the cleanup. She handed me a trash bag, her voice dropping. "He's not a bad guy, Juliet. He loves you. We all do." But her eyes darted to the French doors, where Ethan's silhouette paced, gesturing wildly. Love. What a loaded word in the Harlan lexicon. I left around midnight, the summer air thick with unspoken rot. Back in my apartment, I poured a bourbon neat, Maker's Mark, Dad's old vice, and scrolled Ethan's leaked emails on a dark web forum I'd bookmarked months ago. Whispers of a whistleblower. Someone inside Ethicorp ready to blow the lid off round 2 of the scandal. My name wasn't on it, but the dates were, the same week I'd signed those docs. Coincidence? Bullshit. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of swapped faces and drowning in Lake Michigan. Morning brought a call from an unknown number. MS. "Harlan, this is Dr. Kessler from Neuralink Labs. We have a consulting opportunity. Your expertise in ethics compliance could be pivotal." Neuralink. Ethan's baby. The neurotech darling promising mindful interfaces for corporate training. I said yes. Because why not? Another thread to pull. Another way to unravel him. The lab was in a nondescript warehouse in Pilsen. Murals splashed on brick walls like gang tattoos. Dr. Kessler. A wiry guy in his 50s with a German accent and eyes like drill bits. Met me at the door. Juliet, right? Ethan speaks highly of you. Of course he did. I followed him through humming servers and glass-walled clean rooms. The air crisp with ozone and ambition. We're testing neural mapping, he explained, gesturing to a helmet rigged with fiber optics. Syncs brainwaves to avatars, virtual you, for simulations. Imagine training execs on ethical dilemmas without real-world fallout. Ethical dilemmas. Ironic. The demo was simple. Strap in, visualize a scenario, watch yourself, navigate it on screen. Mine was a boardroom betrayal, falsifying reports to hit quarterly targets. The avatar hesitated, then signed. Me? Mirrored back. Fascinating, Kessler muttered, tweaking dials. Your alpha waves are off the charts. Trauma response? I shrugged it off. But as the machine whirred louder, a jolt hit, like lightning in my veins. Vision blurred. Voices echoed. System overload, abort. Kessler's shout faded into static. And then, nothing. I woke in a hospital bed, beeps syncing with my pulse. But the hands clutching the sheets weren't mine, bigger. Calloused from golf grips. A wedding band glinting gold. Ethan's hands. I bolted up, heart slamming, and caught my reflection in the bedside tray, his face, square-jawed and boyish, staring back with my eyes wide, furious. Mine. What the fuck? My voice, his voice, cracked the sterile quiet. A nurse rushed in, charts fluttering. Mr. Harlan, you're awake. The accident, neural feedback loop. Your sister's stable. But, sister. I was in Ethan's body. And somewhere, in another room, he was trapped in mine. The swap wasn't permanent, they said. A glitch. Reversible with calibration. But as I lay there, feeling the alien weight of his frame, his Rolex heavy on my wrist, a dark thrill uncoiled in my gut. Revenge wasn't just a word anymore. It was flesh and bone, and I was wearing it. The first 48 hours in Ethan's skin were a masterclass in disorientation and dark comedy. Waking up to his reflection every time I passed a mirror, that smug jawline. The perpetual 5 o'clock shadow he never bothered shaving was like starring in a body horror flick directed by Kafka. But beneath the vertigo, there was power. His power. The kind that opened doors without knocking. That turned no into yes. Sir, with a flash of my corporate Amex. Kessler's team kept it hushed. Of course. NDAs thicker than the HIPAA waiver I signed with a trembling hand, his hand steady as ever. 24 to 72 hours for recalibration, the doc assured me, his accent thicker under stress. You'll switch back seamlessly. In the meantime, minimal activity. No stresses. Minimal activity. Right. Because nothing says low stress like impersonating your sociopath brother while plotting his downfall. They wheeled me out in a private ambulance to his, our Oak Park manse, Sophie fluttering like a panicked hen in the foyer. Ethan. Oh God. The lab called neural fatigue or something. You scared me half to death. She air-kissed my cheek, her perfume cloying, and I fought the urge to recoil. Up close, in his body, she looked smaller, vulnerable. The bump protruded like a challenge, and guilt flickered briefly before I stamped it out. This was the woman who'd whispered in his ear, "Let Juliet take the heat, she's tough." I'd overheard it once, Post-indictment. Through a crack in their bedroom door during a supportive family dinner. I played the part, mumbled about a routine skin gone sideways, collapsed onto the king-sized bed in the master suite. Egyptian cotton sheets that cost more than my monthly rent. A view of the koi pond shimmering under security lights. Sophie fussed with pillows. Her hand lingering on my forehead, his forehead, like I was the invalid. Rest, babe. I'll handle the board call tomorrow. Juliet's. She's in recovery too, they said. We'll visit. Juliet. Me. Trapped in my own slight frame. Probably cursing up a storm in some recovery room. The thought twisted something fierce. Did he feel it? The disbarment shame clinging like damp rot. The way strangers' eyes slid past you in court halls. Whispering fallen angel? Or was he too busy marveling at the boobs? Sleep evaded me that night. Ethan snores, my snores now, rumbling through the pillow. I slipped downstairs at dawn, barefoot on heated marble floors, and raided his office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A desk the size of a small car. Framed headlines touting Ethicorp, ethics in the AI age. Hypocrite. His laptop hummed open with facial recognition. Ironic. Since the face was mine now, and I dove in. Emails first, a thread with Kessler. Dated yesterday. Prototype success. Mine merge viable for exec sims. Harlan Sisters baseline ideal for stress testing. Stress testing. That's what they called frying my brain. Then, buried in deleted items, correspondence with a PI firm. Confirmed Juliet's compliance with probation terms. Any cracks? We leverage. Leverage. For what? Blackmail? To keep me silent on the real fraud. The offshore accounts siphoning millions into Cayman shells, the ones Dad had discovered before his relapse. Deeper. Medical files. Scanned PDFs from Sophie's OB. The chromosomal issue, trisomy 21 markers. High risk for Down syndrome. But attached, a paternity test. Rushed. Results pending. Pending as of last week. My blood ran cold. Ethan's blood, thrumming in my veins. Was the baby even his? Or some boardroom indiscretion? Sophie's flirtations at those gala fundraisers I'd once crashed for free champagne? The safe in the corner yielded more. A burner phone. Text to an unknown number. She knows too much. Barbecue invite reversed. Keep her out. Time-stamped the day of the text. And below, handle the whistleblower. Like last time. Last time. Dad. The fentanyl wasn't random. It was sourced from a dark web connect Ethan's PI had vetted. Clean. Untraceable. I'd borne the grief. The lie. While he climbed higher on the ladder of our family corpse. By noon, Sophie was back. Tray of avocado toast and green juice in hand. You look like hell. Ethan. Eat. I forced it down. The texture's wrong in his mouth. Too salty. Too alive. She perched on the bed's edge. Hand on the bump. The baby kicked this morning. Feel. She guided my palm, his palm, to the swell. A flutter. Insistent. Life. Innocent. And here I was. A ghost in a thief's body. Weighing whether to poison the well. I need to see Juliet, I said, voice gravelly from disuse. Sophie's brow furrowed. The docs said no visitors yet. She's altered. Cognitive dissonance or something. Altered. If only she knew. Please. For me. The hospital was a fortress of white coats and beeping monitors. Downtown in the shadow of the Willis Tower. I flashed Ethan's ID, executive privileges greasing the wheels, and they let me into ICU. There I was, my body, pale and hooked to IVs, eyes fluttering open as I approached. Ethan? My own voice, thin and reedy, croaked out. Panic flashed his panic in my face. "Shh," I whispered, leaning close, the scent of hospital antiseptic mixing with his cologne. "It's me, Juliet." His eyes, my eyes, widened, comprehension dawning like a horror show. "What the fuck did you do?" he hissed, struggling against restraints.
Weak.
So weak, without his bulk. Nothing.
Accident.
But listen, I glanced at the door. Nurse charting obliviously. "You stay here. Play along. I'll fix it." Lies. Sweet as Sophie's juice. He thrashed, monitors spiking. "You bitch. Give me my body back." "Sophie, the baby. Baby might not be yours," I shot back. "Venom low. Paternity test and you're safe. And Dad? I know." The texts. The OD. His face, my face, crumpled, tears tracking saline lines. It wasn't. He was going to ruin everything. For you.
Two.
The trust. Save it. A buzzer sounded. Security inbound. I straightened, smoothing his polo. "Rest. Juliet. I've got a life to live." As I walked out, his screams echoed. "You can't do this." But oh, I could. And I would. Back at the house, the real work began. Ethan's calendar was a gold mine. Board meetings, investor lunches, a Neuralink demo next week, the one that would revolutionize corporate training with mind swaps. Poetic. I canceled the recovery visits, citing exhaustion. Sophie bought it, doting with herbal teas and foot rubs. Guilt gnawed, but I drowned it in single malt scotch from his bar cart, the burn familiar yet foreign. By day 3, I was striding into Ethicorp's River North headquarters, glass spires piercing the sky like hubris. Heads turned, admiring glances from admins, nods from VPs. "Mr. Harlan, welcome back." The corner office was a shrine to excess, panoramic views of the Chicago River. A wet bar stocked with Macallan, walls lined with signed baseballs from Sox legends. I settled into the leather throne, firing up the triple monitors. First order, the whistleblower. A mid-level auditor named Ramirez, CC'd on suspicious wire transfers. I pulled his file, loyal, overlooked, ripe for flipping. A quick email from Ethan. "Coffee? Need your insight on Q3 audits." He bit. Meeting me at a corner cafe in the West Loop, all exposed brick and overpriced lattes. Ramirez was twitchy, 30s, with a mustache that screamed undercover cop. "Sir?" I thought. I cut him off, sliding a folder across the table, printouts of the Cayman's accounts, cross-referenced with Dad's trust withdrawals. "I know you've been digging, and I appreciate it. Juliet, my sister, she got railroaded last time. I want to make it right." His eyes narrowed, but greed or justice won. "Right how?" I leaned in, voice dropping to that boardroom timbre Ethan mastered. Full exposure, but controlled. We leaked to the Trib, timed for max impact. Bored out, me resigning for health reasons. You, hero whistleblower, with a payout from my personal foundation. He swallowed it. Hook, line, sinker. By evening, drafts were circulating, anonymous tips to journalists, scrubbed servers prepped for the feds. Revenge wasn't just personal, it was surgical, carving out his empire brick by brick. But Sophie. She was the wild card. That night, as Ethan, massaged her feet in the den, Netflix droning some true crime doc, she turned pensive. "You've been different since the lab."
Distant.
"Like you're carrying something." Her hand on mine, his hand warm.
Searching.
I met her gaze, seeing the flicker of doubt. "Just stress."
Soft.
The swap thing shook me. Made me think about family. About us. She softened, leaning into me. The test results came. "It's yours." "Ours." Relief washed her face. But mine, his tightened. A lie unmasked, but another loomed. The baby was his. But the poison? That was mine. The calibration call came Thursday, ready for reversal. "Mr. Harlan." Kessler's voice crackled over speaker. I hesitated, staring at the city lights from the office window. Reversal meant losing this leverage. This skin that let me walk as king. "Delay it," I said. "Need more time for personal matters," he protested. But money talked. Ethan's money. Wired instantly. Friday brought the barbecue redux. No, not the family one. A corporate schmooze at a rooftop in the Gold Coast. Champagne flutes and skyline toasts. I worked the room in his tailored Armani. Schmoozing senators and tech bros. Dropping hints about imminent reforms at Ethicorp. Whispers spread. Change afoot. The king awakening. But under the banter, I was tallying debts, every backroom deal, every silenced voice like Dad's. Sophie joined late, radiant in emerald silk, the bump-a-beacon. "Proud of you," she murmured, arm linking mine. For a heartbeat, I almost cracked, almost confessed the swap. The secrets, begged for absolution. But then I saw Ramirez across the crowd, nodding subtly, leaks deployed. The dominoes were falling. That night, back home, she initiated slow
Tentative.
her body curving into mine. Ethan's body responded on autopilot. But my mind raced. Revulsion. Rage. A twisted pity. As she sighed in sleep beside me, I slipped out, padding to the kitchen. The fridge hummed, stocked with organic everything. But in the pantry, hidden behind artisanal jams, a vial from the lab, unmarked. Experimental neural enhancer. Hemlock derivative. Kessler had let slip, paralytic. Odorless. Perfect for simulations. I pocketed it, heart steady. The barbecue invite had been his exclusion. This would be my inclusion. On his terms, in his house, with his family watching. Week 2 and Ethan's body blurred into a high-wire act of deception and demolition. Morning started with spin classes in River North, his ritual, punishing the trainer with grunts that echoed my frustration, followed by boardroom battles where I greenlit the leaks myself. Playing the reformed visionary. The stock dipped 8% on Monday. Analysts on CNBC speculating, internal purge. Ethan would have spun it with charisma, I spun it with cold precision. Firing the enablers one by one. Their severance packages laced with gag clauses that bit back if they talked. Sophie noticed the shifts. Of course.
You're
Harder, she said over breakfast one Tuesday. Fork pausing over quinoa bowl. Like you're settling scores. Her eyes, blue as Lake Michigan shallows, searched mine, his eyes, For the brother she thought she knew. I chuckled, low and practiced, buttering his wheat toast. Just cleaning house.
Babe.
For the kid. Legacy and all that American dream crap. She laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. Doubt was a seed, and I was watering it with every evasive glance. Meanwhile, in my body, real Juliet, Ethan was unraveling. Kessler's updates were terse. Subject Harlan, female, exhibiting aggression. Demands reversal. Psych eval pending. Psych eval. I could picture it, my slight frame pacing the private ward. Hair a wild halo, railing against nurses about imposters. Part of me pitted the trap, probation officers sniffing around, media sniffing my disgrace name. But the bigger part? It savored the symmetry. He'd forced me into silence. Now he screamed into a void. I visited once more, midweek, under cover of a sibling check-in. The room was dim, blinds slatted against the midday glare. My body, his prison, huddled in bed. IVs snaking like accusations. "You're destroying everything," he whispered, voice cracking on my vocal cords. Bruises shadowed my eyes, his eyes now, from the restraints they'd added after a incident. Sophie called. The board's panicking.
Give it back. Jules.
Please. I sat. Ethan's bulk creaking the chair. Everything? Like Dad's life? My career? I leaned in, breath hot. You texted me to stay away. Said family was tense. Now you're tense. My lip curled, defiance sparking. You think you're better? In my skin. You're just me, weak.
Desperate.
She'll see through you.
She. Sophie.
The unspoken fracture. I pulled the paternity file from my jacket, his jacket, slapping it on the tray. She saw enough to test you. But it's yours. Congrats.
Daddy.
Confusion flickered. Then horror. You read that? It's private. Nothing's private anymore. I stood, towering in his frame. The feds get the full drop tomorrow. Your empire crumbles. You take the fall. Like I did. He lunged, weak and wild. Monitors shrieking. Monster. You're the monster. Security swarmed, but his words lingered. A mirror I couldn't unsee. Outside, rain lashed the city, turning streets to rivers of reflected neon. I drove aimlessly, his Audi purring like a predator, ending up at Mom's in Evanston. The old bungalow sagging under ivy and memories. She answered the door in her quilted robe, flour dusted from baking, eyes lighting at Ethan. Honey, what a surprise. Juliet's been off. Hospital said accident. We sat in the kitchen, lemon bars cooling on racks, the scent thick as nostalgia. Mom prattled about the garden, the church bingo scandal, but her gaze lingered, worried, weary. You two need to mend fences. She took the blame for you. Ethan. Blood's thicker.
Blood.
The word clanged. I nodded, throat tight. I know.
Mom.
Working on it. But as she hugged me goodbye, her arms around his broad shoulders, I felt the lies settle like lead. She'd buried Dad's truth for us. Both her chicks. Would she forgive this? The countdown to the barbecue loomed, the real one. The family blowout rescheduled for weekend closure after Sophie's scare. Invites went out. Intimate gathering. No drama. But drama was my middle name now. I spent Thursday night in the home lab Ethan had installed in the basement, state-of-the-art. with chem stations and vials glowing under UV. The hemlock extract was child's play. Distill,
Dilute.
infuse into the deviled egg filling Sophie prepped for tradition. Odorless, tasteless, a nod to ancient poisons and modern grudges. Friday's board meeting was the crescendo. I strode in, projections flickering, red ink bleeding across slides. Gentlemen and ladies, I drawled, channeling his folksy charm. Ethicorps built on trust. Time to rebuild. Murmurs rose as I unveiled the internal audit, the leaks, repackaged as mea culpa. Resignations hit the table like dominoes. Stock plummeted another 12%. By close, the SEC was en route. Warrants hot. I was the hero, exposing rot from within. But in the elevator down, alone with my reflection, his reflection, I saw the cost. Eyes hollow, a stranger's smirk. Sophie waited in the lobby, takeout tie in hand. Rough day. She kissed my cheek, linking arms. In the car, she confessed, I saw the news. Proud, but scared. For us. The baby. Her hand on the bump. Vulnerable. I covered it with mine, his hand, feeling the kick again. Life. Insistent.
It'll be okay. I lied.
Family first. That night, as we prepped the yard, string lights twinkling, grill oiled, I slipped the toxin into the mayo jar, heart pounding in his chest. Controversial? Hell yes. Poisoning your brother in his own body. At a family fete. With his pregnant wife in the crossfire? It was the kind of dark twist that'd make Reddit explode. Therapists rich. But betrayal begets betrayal. And I'd borne his sins long enough. Saturday dawned brutal. Humidity thick as conspiracy. Thunder rumbling distant over Indiana. Guests trickled in by noon. Aunt Linda with her Jell-O salad. Cousin Mark cracking beers. Mom arriving with her famous beans. I manned the grill. Tongs flipping burgers. Ethan's easy banter flowing like bourbon. Jules coming, Mom asked. Hopeful. I nodded. Should be here soon. Sophie waddled about, directing traffic, her dress tented over the bump. She caught my eye, smiling soft. You're good at this.
Ethan. Hosting. Being.
Us.
Us.
The words stung. If she knew, if she glimpsed the viper in her husband's skin. The text came at 1:45 from Julia. On my way. See you soon. But it was him. Of course, Kessler must have sprung him early. Reversal half done or faked.
Panic spiked.
But I smothered it. Let him come. Let him walk into the web. By 2. The yard buzzed. Laughter. Clinking bottles. Kids chasing fireflies early. The deviled eggs sat innocent on the picnic table. Paprika dusted. A dozen souls undoing. I watched Sophie nibble one, herself unscathed. The dose calibrated for one target, then offer the platter around.
Ethan?
Your favorite. I took one.
Bit in.
The creamy bite exploding tart. Placebos for me. Death for him. Guests milled. Oblivious. As tires crunched gravel. My old Civic pulled up me. Behind the wheel. Juliet's body. But Ethan's gait as he stepped out. Tentative in flats and jeans. Mom waved. Juliet, over here. He waved back. Face a rictus of control. But his eyes, my eyes, locked on mine across the yard. Accusation. Fury. Checkmate. He wove through. Hug stiff. Settling beside Sophie. Missed you, she said, handing him an egg.
Eat.
You look peaky. He glanced at me, poisoner in plain sight, and took it. Because what choice? Family. Tradition. The bite was slow, deliberate.
Chew.
Swallow. Good, he muttered. Voice mine, but tone his oily, defiant. We held gaze. The air electric. Thunder closer now. Conversation flowed. Weather. Weddings. The baby's name they'd settled on Harlan James after Dad. But under it, tension coiled my coil. Sophie laughed at a cousin's joke. Hand on his knee, my knee. Mom refilled plates. And Ethan? He sweated. Subtle at first, napkin to brow. Shift in seat. Hot out, he said. Voice thin. Sophie frowned. You okay? Jules? He nodded. But color drained.
Lip spalling.
The hemlock worked fast, numbness creeping. Diaphragm seizing. I excused myself to the grill. Flipping nothing. Watching sidelong. His breath shortened. Hand clutching table edge.
Need. Air.
He stood, staggering toward the house. Sophie trailing. Juliet? Babe. Guests murmured. Concern rippling. Mom to me. Ethan? Check on her. I followed. Casual. Into the kitchen, marble island. Stainless gleam. He slumped against the sink.
Gasping.
Sophie knelt. Panic rising. Call 911. She's, oh God. His eyes met mine over her shoulder, triumph twisted to terror.
You.
Did. Words choked. Body betraying. I knelt too. Ethan's face a mask of solicitude.
Easy. Cease.
Ambulance coming. But my hand, his hand, pressed her shoulder, steadying her. Not him. As sirens wailed distant, his vision dimmed, truth foaming unspoken on his lips. The paramedics swarmed like locusts, barking orders in that efficient Midwestern clip. Pulse thready, talk screen stat. They stretchered him, me. The shell, out the French doors, past gawking kin. Sophie sobbing in my wake, bump heaving with each hitch. Ethan, my sister, what's happening? Her voice cracked the summer haze, raw as the thunder now cracking overhead. I played the rock, arm around her, murmuring, hospital.
Now.
We piled into the ambulance bay, his body convulsing under oxygen mask, monitors of frantic Morse code.
En route.
I fielded calls, Mom frantic. Poison? At the barbecue? Bored vulture circling. Harlan. Statement. I stonewalled. Ethan's gravitas a shield. Family emergency. Details pending. Rush University Med was a blitz of ER chaos. Fluorescent buzz. Gurneys rattling. The metallic tang of fierce wet. They pumped him full of atropine. Charcoal slurry down the tube. But the hemlock had rooted deep, nerve blocker supreme. Ancient as Socrates. Modern as my grudge. Kessler arrived. Summoned by my anonymous tip. Neural link involvement, cover needed. His face ashen under the scrubs. The extract. Experimental. Reversal impossible now.
Impossible.
Music to my ears. Sophie collapsed into a waiting room chair. Ultrasound techs hovering with reassurances for the bump. I paced. Phone glued to ear, his phone, leaking the Ethicorp bombshell to a Trib contact. CEO's sister poisoned at family event. Insider docs show fraud. By midnight. Headline screamed. Tech Titan's dark secret, poison plot amid scandal. Ethan clung, barely through the night, my body a battlefield of tubes and beeps. Dawn found me in the chapel, empty save for a crucifix and the hum of vending machines.
Prayer? Nah.
Reckoning. I whispered to the stained glass. For Dad. For me. Vengeance served. Cold as Chicago winter. Sophie found me there. Eyes red-rimmed. Clutching a sonogram printout. They're stabilizing her. Toxins. Targeted.
But why? Who?
Her voice trembled. Accusation budding. I pulled her close, his arms strong.
Deceptive.
Random? Cater slip? We'll find out. But her gaze sharpened, searching his face for cracks. You've been off.
Ethan.
Since the lab. And Juliet. She looked at you like family. I cut in.
Soft.
We've got history. History. The buried OD. The forged SIGs. The swap that swapped our souls. She nodded. But the seed sprouted, doubt to distrust. By noon, Fed swarmed, SEC suits in off-racks, badges flashing. Mr. Harlan, your sister's condition, related to the docs we seized. I met them in a consult room. Projections of Cayman ledgers glowing. Coincidence? Maybe. But the fraud's real. I'm cooperating. Full access. Lies layered like onion skin. Truth peeled back to expose him. Rotting core. Ethan woke late afternoon. Miracle of modern meds. My face slack on pillows. Eyes fluttering open to the cage of rails. Sophie. His voice, mine, rasped. She rushed in. Tears fresh.
Jules.
Oh God. You're okay. I lingered in the doorway. Shadow in scrubs. Watching the reunion. Her hand in his, my hand, love untainted by the venom I'd brewed. But his gaze found me. Over her shoulder. Recognition. Horror.
Ethan.
You bastard. Whispered. For my ears. I smiled his smile. Wolfish and mouthed. Welcome home. The twist hit like lake effect snow. Reversal.
Kisla.
Cornered by subpoenas. Confessed the swap under oath. Prototype malfunction. Identities exchanged. The press aided. Body swap scandal rocks tech world. Sophie's world imploded. She confronted him in the hall. Sonogram crumpled. It was you. In the eggs. For what? Revenge. I didn't deny.
Couldn't.
He killed Dad.
Soft.
Framed me. Built this. Gesture to the gleaming hospital. The empire crumbling outside. On our graves. Her face crumpled. Hand to mouth. And the baby? You risked. Calculated. For him. Cold. American calculus. Ends justifying means. Wild West justice in a litigious age. She slapped me, his cheeks stinging, and stormed out. Calling lawyers. Family. The end. Mom arrived. Piecing whispers. My babies. Swapped. Poison. Her eyes. Fractured. Juliet? Ethan? Who's who? Kessler's fix came fast. Emergency sync in a quarantined wing. Straps. Electrodes. The jolt ripping through. Vision tunneled. Bodies blurring. I woke in mine. Slight. Scarred.
Free.
Ethan in his. Bulked. Broken. Arrested at bedside by feds. Obstruction. Conspiracy. Congrats.
Bro.
Your turn. The fallout was biblical. Ethicorp dissolved in lawsuits. Sophie filed for divorce. Custody battle pending. The baby, Harlan James, born 3 weeks later. Healthy, to a nanny's arms while she healed in Napa. Mom cut ties. Quilt unfinished.
I
Cleared of old charges. Duress, they ruled. Rebuilt Harlan and Associates into a boutique firm for whistleblowers. Ethics the new black. But the twist, the real gut punch, came months later. In a manila envelope postmarked Oak Park. Sophie's handwriting. For the truth. Inside. Dad's autopsy addendum. Rushed by her private eye.
Fentanyl pure.
No cut.
Suicide.
He couldn't live with the shame, her note read. Ethan knew, begged him to fight. You bore the lie he confessed to you, Juliet. To protect us all. Reversed. Dad's choice. Not murder. Ethan's grief. Not guilt. My revenge? A house of cards on sand. I'd poisoned innocence. Shattered the only family thread left. Hero? Villain? The courts debated. Reddit raged. Body swap killer versus. Justice served.
Now.
Holidays pass quiet in my walk-up. Bourbon my companion. The tattoo faded to a whisper. Sophie co-parents from afar. Civil texts about T-ball scores.
Ethan?
10 years in Supermax. Writing appeals I ghost. Last letter. Forgive? Or join me? I burn them. Ashes to the lake wind. Was it worth it? The empire dust. The blood unspilled but bonds severed? Ask the mirror, my mirror now, and it stares back. Eyes weary. Wondering if vengeance ever fills the void, or just digs it deeper. In America, we chase justice like the horizon, always receding. Mirage in the heat.